Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Coming up on today's show, Sean Murphy heard all of y'all out here barking in these Twitter streets.
And then playing around, we saw the 41-win team, but in the opening round, game one, we saw the 41-loss team. Which one is going to show up in game two?
And last but not least, and for the culture, Jalen Hurts is out here about to get paid, y'all. That's all coming up next right here on ATL Day Ones. Let's go.
This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
I want to start off by saying thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. Remember, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. It's ATL Day Ones, your team every day. Today's episode of ATL Day Ones is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. But when you talking about getting started over the weekend, the Atlanta Braves got the party started out there in Kansas City, and they just continue to just rock and roll throughout their series. And this is their second consecutive series sweep. So when you think about how they're playing and why they're playing the way they are, I got to point to my guy, Sean Murphy, In this series, the man batted .455, 7 RBIs, and 2 home runs with 3 doubles, When you think about all of the worry, quote unquote, on social media about whether or not his bat was gonna pick it up and everything like that, I think Sean Murphy answered all of those questions over the weekend.
And I think also the concerns, and rightfully so, when Orlando Arcia went down, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, we knew Vaughn Grissom was coming up. We figured he was coming up.
King Vaughn.
We all assumed that Vaughn was going to come up for the majors at some point, right?
Right.
But nobody expected that there would be a need this soon. So I want to say shout out to Vaughn Grissom as well, especially because, of course, he hit the RBI single that won the game for the Braves in the series finale Sunday. But I think he showed us some good things, too. And don't get me wrong. I think upon further review, it turns out that was more a Charlie Martin bobble than it was Vaughn Grissom bobble. So he showed us that defensively he is improving. So he was also, I co-signed with you on Sean Murphy, but certainly liked what I saw out of Vaughn Grissom this entire weekend. And good to see Kyle Wright yesterday looking like the Kyle Wright from 2022. It is amazing to think that the Braves have won 22 of 25 games. When he started, 22 of 25. That is crazy. So and really, especially when you throw in there the fact that we're talking no decisions in those other instances.
Yeah, not L's.
Right. Yeah, Kyle Wright is not out here giving you L's. When he's not winning, at worst, it's a no decision. So, good stuff from him, too.
Yeah, I think those are some of the things that we talked about when we talk about Alex Anthopoulos and building out this roster. I know people are getting tired of me saying that, but it continues to pop up, right? Because all of these injuries are going down. And guys, now you're starting to slowly see guys coming back. You talked about Kyle Wright out there doing his thing and showing and proving himself. And now with Max Fried getting ready to take the mound tonight out there on West Coast against the San Diego Padres, a series that I feel like the Braves are going to be up for, because when you win that first game of the series, when they were here at home and then lose the next 3, I think the Braves have more than enough to prove or to kind of go into this game with like, hey, we got our guy, we got our ace on the mound, and I think these guys are going to make sure that they actually go out there and go get this dub. And I think that I'm expecting nothing less when it comes to what this team is like, because I tweeted this out over the weekend, and I was just like, man, I just love watching this team. They're such a fun team to watch. I feel like they're going to get a dub every time they go out there and take the field.
I do too. And I feel like you said, Max Fried has had an opportunity to kind of reset. I think he'll be good to go. Spencer Strider, we don't often see him have back-to-back bad games, right? And the thing about it is, even the last game, it wasn't bad all the way around. It was just one of those where he kind of started off shaky and it just never kind of came together. And then, of course, you hope that in game 3, Charlie Morton at least looks like, okay, Jarvis, you're the king of, I'll take your nickname away, I'll give it back to you. So if he wins, is he Uncle Charlie again, or?
Well, okay. We can kind of, from the South, so born and raised down here in Atlanta. So for me, like the next level of nicknameness goes, you have to shorten it up. Like the more, the better you play, you have to shorten it up. So instead of being Uncle Charlie, he's just Unc now. Like when you start seeing him to kind of take those next steps and go out there and really show and prove. Like, hey, I'm a wily veteran, but I still got some juice in the tank. I think now he's starting to creep into that. Yeah, just call me Unc now.
Okay. See, I learn something new every day. There it is, people. There it is. And you just hope that
mind my foolishness.
You just hope that he has a bounce back game. But yeah, I'm giving a whole heck of a lot of credit to Max Reed and what I think he's going to do on the mound. And again, for a bounce back game from Spencer Strider. But we don't want to lay it all at the feet of what happens on the mound because, Jarvis, you said it. Sean Murphy was already showing us what he could do behind the plate. Now he's showing at the plate. To me, the most amazing thing of this 6-game winning streak is the fact that every game you never knew who was going to win the game for the Braves. And you never knew which phase of the game was going to win it. Was it going to be the offense? Was it going to be the defense? You just never knew. So yeah, that's what I like about the Braves. The fact that they're winning with home runs, the fact that they're winning with singles, doubles. Who was it? Who had a triple that hadn't had a triple in like 3-4 years? So it may have been Sean Murphy, to be honest with you. But yeah, little things like that they're doing, to me, that's also exciting about the fact that, like you said, you can expect them to bounce back, not just on the Padres, but even have a good series against the Astros right after.
Yeah, so that's the expectation, because I love having expectations for our hometown teams. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cool. It's cool. We're gonna talk about the other team. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but we got to talk about as far as the college football teams here in the landscape, right? Georgia and Georgia Tech haven't had anything in common for the past 10 years. Let's just be quite frank and honest. So when they do have something to come, we got to bring it up. So they had a spring game. Both of them had their spring games over the weekend, and both of them are essentially have these quarterback competitions that played themselves out over the weekend. But I think the one that stood out the most, and I think that we probably coming to a final answer as to what's going to go down and who's going to be up under center in September once that ball kicks off for the Georgia Bulldogs, it has to be, for me, I feel like it's going to be Carson Beck. And I think that when you have a veteran guy who we know Kirby Smart loves, he loves those type of guys. He likes the type of quarterback that he knows what to expect from those guys. And I think Carson Beck kind of showed that, like, hey, I'm the vet. I've been waiting for my turn, and I think I'm ready to roll.
And I believe that Kirby Smart still wants to do what was being done under Todd Monken. Like, he started to really open that offense up and make them an aerial attack that was a true complement to the run game. So when you look at picking up players like Ray Thomas, Ra Thomas, look, I keep hearing people
Poop, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Whatever his name is.
Call him whatever you want.
It don't matter. The last name Thomas.
Right. Last name Thomas. RT played special teams Saturday, so we didn't necessarily get a look at him with reps with Carson Beck. But my point being, when you start loading up the wide receiver room with the likes of RT, we're just going to call him RT, or Dominic Levitt, the transfer. So you start looking at them, coupled with the fact that what do we always see? Those running backs being able to be good pass catchers. Carson Beck fits that bill much more. So yeah, I agree with you. I think in addition to that veteran presence, and he's already seen, Kirby Smart's already seen what happens when you give the wily veteran the reins. It works. And so Carson Beck showed himself to be potentially that guy. But yeah, I also think Kirby doesn't tip his hands very often, but if he kind of tipped his hands, like you said, it's the reps that Carson Beck got, and it's also the acquisitions, quote unquote, in the Dogs off season to really load up that receiver room that I think tells us who is going to be under center in the fall.
Yeah, we understand what's going on with the Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs, but I think Georgia Tech may have a little something to say. They're going to have some positions to fill on that defense. Like you said, they lost 4 starters. They got 7 guys returning, but like those 4 starters are guys who were playmakers for them when they did play well on the defensive side of the football. But when you think about Speaking of not playing well, how about that for a segue? The Atlanta Hawks, they got their butts kicked essentially on Saturday. I mean, ain't nowhere else to put it. But we're going to talk about whether or not can they even remain competitive, or were they competitive in this series against the Boston Celtics for Game 2. But first, we got to talk about FanDuel.com/lockedon. It is the #1 sports book in America. Guess what? You guys rock with us each Monday through Friday because we are the #1 podcast to you in your hearts, in your soul. And that's all that matters. Forget those doggone in America. But yeah, I think one of the things that you have to do if you are a new customer is to go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, and they have the no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus best back if your first bet doesn't win. So if you lost some money and betted on the Hawks to win, I don't know why you would do that, but you can get a little change back. FanDuel gonna help you out. No sweat first bet. You can do anything. You can combine all of your bets even for a same game parlay. If you want to check out threes drained, the over under, the money line, that you can bet on all of those things, and that's right there for you. So what I want you to do is to go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
Well, Jarvis, you want to talk about making every minute count? The Hawks are going to have to do that if they intend to beat the Celtics. It cannot be a tale of two halves situation when the other team, the home team, is playing 48 minutes of solid basketball. Yeah, they may have had a few moments. I'll give them 45 or 46. But ultimately, what we're saying is, everybody takes off a play or two, right? But what we're talking about is a complete game that we saw from the Celtics, whereas for the Hawks, we kind of saw a complete half a game, maybe. Yeah. And, it's interesting because obviously the glaring stat is the Hawks being 5 of 29 from beyond the arc versus the Celtics being 13 of 33, nearly 40% shooting. Yeah. But Jarvis, there are some other things that we can unpack and that need to be unpacked, because when you're down 30 points, it's about more than just missing 3-pointers. It's about more than just that. So my question is, in terms of this series, how do the Hawks put themselves in position to still be able to make it competitive?
Defense, T. When you like 3-point shooting teams, which it seems like every team in the NBA in today's game is a 3-point shooting team, you're going to have bad shooting nights. What do you do? What's the foundation that you set when you have bad shooting nights? It's basically focusing in or locking in on defense. I know that's what Quin Snyder wants to do, because he always talked about defense is all about effort. And the one thing that super concerned me, and it just kind of got me to thinking about long term, because that's where we are with the team. We think long term because, like I said, no expectations for this team. We talked about how we have expectations for the Braves. We don't have any expectations for the Hawks. And I think T is okay with me saying that. You see how she's nodding her head? Yeah, that's how we roll here. So I think that when you have a guy like DeAndre Hunter, T, the way he played and looked lost on defense, and you talking about this is a guy that was Defensive Player of the Year in college at Virginia, and this was what he was brought in for, being a two-way guy. And we've seen him be a guy that can play some defense and shoot the ball well. He just absolutely looked lost. Like, hey, we got a game this weekend? Oh, we got a game on Saturday? Oh, okay, all right, I'll be there. But the way when I know he was going up against guys like Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, and I get it, but it was just on simple stuff, little backdoor cuts, just looking lost, standing flat-footed, don't know what's going on, and him, and John Collins right there along with him too as well. And I'm just like, man, where the things that you've learned in these last 21 games, like I'm going to throw Nate McMillan's era for this season, I'm going to throw that out the window. Just in these last 21 games, what you've learned from Quin Snyder, like, did it just go all out the window? Because I think there's one thing they say about, as far as forming habits, it takes about 30 days to form a habit. I guess 21 games wasn't enough, T, because they just fell right back into what we got used to seeing before Quin Snyder took over. And that concerns me, especially talking about from in the short term for a game leading up to Game 2, and for the long term as well, whether those guys are going to even be around on this squad.
Yeah, and it made me think as you were talking, I was like, do I want to go in the direction of basketball IQ and mindset and focus, or do I want to go in the direction of
Goodness.
stats, or do I want to
We
actually put
talked
them
about that
together?
too on
Right.
Friday. Basketball
Exactly.
IQ.
And
It's
I think I'm
huge.
going to put them together
Right.
because when you look at offensive rebounding, you do have to be focused. You have to assume not that the basketball is going to go in the net. You have to
Yeah.
assume that it's not. And where do you need to be position wise on the floor, whether it's a short, excuse me, a long rebound, and you get a fresh 24, or whether you're right under the basket and you just need to tip that ball back in. But where is that? You walked into this series as the number one team with second chance points during the Quin Snyder era,
Yeah.
the number two team in offensive rebounds. How in the world was it that, yeah, you had two more offensive rebounds than the Celtics, but that's not going to cut it when overall they're out rebounding you by a 13 rebound clip defensively, or
Mm.
overall, and
Yeah.
defensively is where they're winning on the boards. Then you at least have to win on the boards on offense in order to make it a game. The other piece there is this: when you talk about turnovers, 17 Celtics turnovers. Why? Only 12 points off those turnovers. You have got to convert when you're given the opportunity on a team like that. You don't have a choice. Now, one of the maybe encouraging signs was points in the paint, kind of, sort of. But again, it goes back to not if your response to what happened on Saturday was that you guys didn't really have the right focus. And of course, I'm paraphrasing some of what John
Right.
Collins said, but you didn't have the right focus, or you guys have to get your minds in the game or get your heads right or whatever. It's game one in an opening round that you were not even guaranteed to get in, and you beat the snot out of a team that has had your number
Come
for the
on,
last
T.
couple of seasons, and you know that the Celtics
T.
drug you this season. All of those things together, Jarvis, and you got 4 to 5 days to plan for this team. You can't say that you guys weren't mentally prepared or mentally ready to get after it. That's just
T.
not acceptable.
Can I say this? I am so tired of John Collins opening his damn mouth every time somebody sticks a microphone in his face and talking about things that needs to be done. Because here's the thing, like, you're always the person that you're speaking to, and what the thing that I get off on is that a lot of times when leaders speak up, like, they are speaking up for the guys that are the culprits, right? And kind of adding themselves into the equation,
Yes.
because they know that they're giving their all, they're doing what they're supposed to do. Because hey, good players most of the time are going to be your leaders. But if if you're the culprit, I just talked about how defensively DeAndre Hunter and John Collins, they look like they were just lost on defense.
Yeah.
And for you to come out at the end of the game and start talking about we weren't mentally, no, I don't care. I don't care. I don't need to hear that anymore. I am so sick and tired of this dude always talking about pointing out stuff. Stop pointing out stuff and just play damn better. Because this is ridiculous. Like, you have been in this league for a very long time. The Hawks rewarded you with your bread and all that stuff. All this stuff you've been in the trade rumors, all that stuff, dude. Like, when are you going to just sit out here and lock down? You're like, you know what? I got to play better, and that's it. Like, and just own it. Own that stuff, T.
But you
I'm
know what?
tired of that.
Right, and to piggyback off of that, don't even say I gotta play better. I will play better, and then go out and
Yeah.
actually do it. Because one thing I will say about DeJounte Murray, whenever he has that off game, and even if others have the off game, to your point, he's gonna point to himself to try to take a little bit of that
The
heat off
man in
the
the
others.
mirror. The
But
man in the
next
mirror is the
game
problem.
out,
Yes.
exactly. But the next game out, typically he is going to bounce back, and
Exactly.
he's going to put together typically a string of games where we can get some solid two-way play from him. The challenge is this: John Collins and DeAndre Hunter, you guys have got to do better. Like it Clint Capella, he did what he needed to do. So
Right.
I can't lay the feet, at that particular big man, if you will. I
Right.
can't lay that
Yeah.
at his feet, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you think about like the bench. Yeah, okay. bench kind of had an off night. Hopefully they'll bounce back as well, because we're definitely going to need the second unit to show up the same way that the Celtics second unit showed up, right? And
Right.
they were only an 8-man rotation, but they got all they needed out of that 8-man
Yes,
rotation.
they did.
And that to me is the thing. Like, everybody, speak to us out of respect for us as media, but keep it brief and just show it. Every man has got to do his job tomorrow. Like, there are just no excuses, because remember too, Jarvis, the Celtics are on a mission. The
Yeah.
Celtics have always
Clear.
felt like they
Clear.
should have won that championship last year. They
Yep.
never ever backed down from thinking, okay, Warriors, you won it, but we should have. And so they came into the season with a serious, serious chip on their shoulders, and they're not going to let up on that. And when they smell blood, you know what they're capable of doing. But hey, listen, everydayers, you guys know what it is, because you guys bring us the comments, right? And we appreciate
Yes.
all the comments. And please keep telling us what your thoughts are. What do you guys think are the keys to the game for the Hawks in game 2 against the Celtics tomorrow night? Let us know your thoughts. We appreciate you guys for being our everydayers who've been with us at ATL Day Ones from day one. And so, as always, definitely check out ATL Ones Day Ones as your first stop, because when you guys stop by the show, we know and appreciate the fact that you tell others. So thanks again to our everydayers, whether you watch us on YouTube or you listen to us wherever you download your podcast. We appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Go ahead and jump on that bandwagon, because, hey, this bad boy is moving, whether you're on it or not. But, this is For the Culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, the culture, and sometimes whatever the hell we want to talk about, because that's just how we get down on this show. Today is no different. How about this, T? The Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts have reached an agreement on a 5-year, $255 million on an extension, but that's not the number you need to pay attention to, folks. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. $179 million of it is guaranteed. When you think about Jalen Hurts and what he's gone through, and it's just going back to even college, when you're getting benched in the national championship and having transferred to another school in Oklahoma, and then even being brought in for the Philadelphia Eagles, and people not really believing that he can be the guy, and they wanted them to bring in veterans to kind of take his spot and kind of have him as a backup. So when you think about all the things this cat has gone through, and also add this, Nicole Lynn of Clutch Sports is the one who negotiated this deal. You're talking about an African-American female as a super agent getting these big boy contracts. When you think about all of this guy's gone through, what comes to mind when you think about Jalen Hurts and his story and from where he started to where he is now?
Yeah, it's exciting because I have friends and relatives who know the Hurts family from Houston, and everybody's just so excited because they say nothing but good things about him from day one. They've always said good things. So I'm excited for him, and also for the Eagles for saying, we believe that you are our guy. And the contract was also constructed such that it leaves the Eagles the ability to be able to bring back some critical pieces to the puzzle so that they can continue to contend for a Super Bowl in the years to come. So I like this deal all the way around for Jalen Hurts, for the Eagles. And I also like it for Nicole, because Nicole Lynn to be exact, but Nicole Lynn has done amazing things. She is the first African-American female agent to broker a deal of this magnitude. So that is just downright amazing. Yeah, just awesome. And for him just sticking with her, rocking with her, and for them being able to pull this off. And what I like as well is the Eagles are saying to Jalen Hurts, yes, we saw what you did in that Super Bowl. And it wasn't perfect, but you were close. You were so close to perfect. And we think that with a few tweaks here and there, we can get back to the promised land, and you're the guy who's going to get us there. So yeah, that to me is amazing. And it just reminds everybody that, listen, if you got that guy who's under center, you can just build an entire team around him. Just get your guy, pay your guy, and get the whole team around him. And then you know what it made me think of for all of those who maybe used to watch this show back in the day called The Game. Tasha Mack would be very proud.
Yes,
Just
no doubt.
saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Wendy Raquel Robertson is an excellent person in real life as well. So yeah, I got a chance to work on that show back in the day. Back in the day with my acting days.
What?
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
No. Okay, people.
Well, I was an extra, whatever. So that's how I frame
just flex on them. Flex on them. They don't need to know.
Just a little bit. All right, I'm starting to warm up my arm. This generational money, I mean, they passing off of these quarterbacks to you. I don't know. I might have to switch the style up a little bit, but hey, those are my dreams, guys. I know you guys don't want to really care about those. But T, we gotta talk about this before we get out of here, right? So there's this dude by the name of Brian Davis. Sir, he put in the bid for the Washington Commanders. I know we talked about Josh Harris, the co-owner for the 76ers and the New Jersey Devils as well. They have a bid. Magic Johnson's on that team. But Mr. Brian Davis, T, he said, okay, y'all putting up $6 billion. How about this? I got $7 billion, and as soon as y'all approve my offer, I got $1 billion right now, immediately. And then 7 days later, I got the other $6 billion cash. Let's go. And I'm just like, who is this dude? Where he came from? So apparently he played at Duke and he played with the Minnesota Timberwolves for a little bit. So he's into the whole energy thing. Don't ask me to explain that, how he making all that money. But yeah, he's into the energy stuff. So yeah, what were your thoughts when you first came across this story? Like, man, who is this dude? And where have you been? And why don't nobody know you got no money like this?
But you know what? We always say wealth whispers. So therefore,
absolutely. That is so true.
Yeah, he is the epitome of wealth whispering, because they're not going to walk in a room and say, see me, see me. They're just going to walk in the room and sign a check and see my check. Mm-hmm. And so apparently he's able to do that. And it's interesting because, like you said, just Friday, everybody thought it was a done deal, but It was just a reminder that it is not a done deal until the owners approve. And so This is going to be a very interesting few weeks until the owners meeting in mid-May to see how this actually plays out, what Dan Snyder is going to say. But once again, I go back to, and it's good to kind of see both of those groups, if I'm remembering correctly, have a diverse person who's going to be at the table. So I do like both of those deals for that reason, because you do have to have diverse thought, diverse people of color at the table to be able to kind of shine a light on some of the things that we know are disparities in the league. That said,
that had gone on in that organization up under Dan Snyder's watch. Yeah.
Right. So that said, this will be the perfect place for diversity to begin to really evolve. But unfortunately, and I'm going to let you hopefully end us on a positive note, because why is Dan Snyder still winning?
T, I promise you, that was exactly my point. I was like, man, this dude is out here getting this money. Like, hey, we want you to go away. We want you to answer to these allegations. Oh, by the way, while you're doing this and going through all of these things, and that might end once you sell this team, let's get you another $1 billion on top of the $6 billion, which is going to be a record for a professional team. And it's from a sales standpoint. I'm just like, man.
Yeah, he's sailing off the Amalfi Coast, just laughing at everybody.
Yeah, the rich get richer, I guess, whatever. But anyway, we're going to end on the positive note. How about this, y'all? We appreciate you guys for rocking with ATL Day Ones and making it your first listen of the day. Remember, the people who listen every day, they're called everydayers. And if you're a part of that crew, if you're part of that gang, if you rocking with us and you throwing up your gangs, no, I'm doing too much right now. If you are rocking with us, make sure you drop a comment in the comment box on this video. On this one, right here, every day. Just drop it in there. We appreciate you guys in advance for that. And coming up on tomorrow's show. Now, I know y'all heard about this Jalen Carter situation, right? You know, the Falcons are going to bring him in for a visit. What does that mean? We'll discuss all that tomorrow. But if you don't, guys, we don't do anything else. Before we get out of here, I want to make sure that you share love, show love, and most importantly, make sure that you spread love.